You know, right under our feet, literally every single day, a brutal and ancient war is raging, and it's claiming millions of lives. This isn't just random fighting. We're talking about a conflict with military precision, chemical weapons, and a strategy that is just chillingly effective: slavery.
Imagine this. Your city is thriving, everything's going great, and then suddenly it's overrun. The original citizens are now forced into servitude, their children are stolen, and those children are raised to become the next generation of workers for the conquerors. This sounds like some kind of epic fantasy, but for countless ant colonies, it's a terrifying reality.
So, welcome to the world of the slaver ant, and today we're zeroing in on probably the most intense, most specialized practitioner of this cruel trade, a tribe of ants called Polyergus. These guys have taken the whole idea of division of labor to its absolute horrifying extreme.
All right, let's formally meet the masters of this story, the Polyergus tribe. Now they are a nation of warriors through and through, but their greatest strength has ironically become their greatest weakness. They are so incredibly specialized in the art of war that they have become completely, utterly dependent on the very ants they conquer.
And this really gets to the heart of their paradox. I mean, look at them. They are built for battle. They have these sharp, sickle-shaped mandibles that are designed for one thing and one thing only: piercing the armor of other ants. Evolutionarily speaking, they bet everything on becoming the perfect soldier. But here's the catch. Those weapons are so specialized, they can't do anything else. A Polyergus ant, if you left it on its own, would literally starve to death. It can't even feed itself.
And just look at how staggering their dependency is. In a typical slaver colony, you've got this small ruling class, maybe a few hundred Polyergus masters, and they control a massive workforce of thousands of slaves. They've essentially become this tiny, elite military force that lives entirely off the labor of its captives.
So you have to wonder, how do they maintain this totally lopsided empire? Well, the answer is through brutal, meticulously planned raids. So let's watch how one of these heists unfold, because honestly, it is a masterpiece of military strategy. So, picture this. It's a peaceful summer morning. You've got a bustling colony of Formica ants. They're actually distant cousins to their future attackers. They're just going about their day, building, foraging, raising their young. They have absolutely no idea that a single Polyergus scout has already been there and marked their home for total destruction.
The attack kicks off with just frightening speed and organization. That scout comes back and performs what's called a war dance, releasing these chemical signals that just whip the whole colony into a frenzy. And within moments, a disciplined column of 1,000 warriors is on the march. They don't hesitate at all. They just storm the entrance, their one and only goal being to get inside and steal the colony's future, its babies.
But here's the puzzle, right? The Formica defenders outnumber the raiders 10-1. And these aren't pushovers. They're formidable fighters. They can spray acid. Logically, they should be able to crush this invasion. So what's going on? Why do they just seem to fall apart?
Well, the answer is as ingenious as it is terrifying. It's chemical warfare. The Polyergus attackers release something called a propaganda pheromone. And this isn't just a chemical that confuses the defenders. It causes mass panic. It completely shatters their ability to mount a coordinated defense. So instead of fighting back as a unified army, they just scatter in terror.
And just like that, it's over. In about an hour, the raiders retreat with hundreds of stolen pupae and larvae. But here's the really crucial, cold-hearted part. This is not a war of annihilation. They leave most of the adult defenders alive. Why? So the colony can recover, raise more young, and be raided again in a few weeks. It's a sustainable, horrifying harvest.
Now, stealing the young is really only half the battle. Now comes the truly insidious part. How do you turn these kidnapped victims into loyal, willing slaves? How do they pull that off?
The best way to understand this is to think of a duckling. You know how a duckling imprints on the first thing it sees and just accepts it as its mother? Well, ants do something similar, but they do it with scent. The stolen young are immediately coated in the Polyergus colony's unique chemical signature, so when they hatch, they have no memory of being kidnapped. The first scent they know is the scent of their captors, so they believe with absolute certainty that they are home.
And this chemical brainwashing is total. 100%. The new slaves work tirelessly for their masters. They clean the nest, they hunt for food, they even feed the helpless Polyergus warriors mouth to mouth. And this is the most shocking part. If they encounter a free member of their own species, they treat it as an enemy and attack it. Their entire identity has been completely rewritten.
So, okay,
This cycle of raiding keeps an existing colony going, but what about starting a new one from scratch? This presents a massive challenge for a young Polyergus queen. Remember, she is just as helpless as her warriors. She needs slaves to survive.
This is the ultimate chicken and egg problem, isn't it? To start a colony, she needs worker ants to care for her and her first batch of eggs. But to get those workers, she needs an army of raiders, which she doesn't have. So how on earth does she pull off this impossible feat?
Well, she has two main strategies, and both of them are incredibly high risk. First, she can try to piggyback on a raid that her home colony is conducting. She uses the chaos to sneak in and assassinate the target queen. The problem is, rival slaver colonies are fiercely territorial, and they would destroy a new upstart. The second strategy is even bolder, a solo mission.
A lone queen will find a distant, unsuspecting Formica nest and just charge in. She releases chemicals to try and placate the workers as she races to the throne room. Once she finds the rival queen, it's a duel to the death. After she kills her victim, she performs this really macabre ritual. She licks the dead queen, covering herself in the royal scent, and the Formica workers, now leaderless and totally confused by her smell, just accept her as their new ruler.
And if she pulls it off, the coup is complete. The existing workers of that conquered colony become her very first slaves. They'll care for her as she lays the first eggs of a new dynasty, eggs that will hatch into the next generation of Polyergus raiders. So when you zoom out and look at the big picture, you see this isn't just a series of isolated events. This is a perpetual cycle of violence. It's a fundamental strategy for survival that has been playing out for millions of years. And the scale is almost impossible to comprehend. This world war of the ants is a constant global conflict fought by billions of individuals. The life and death struggles of the Polyergus are just one bloody front in this massive, silent war.
And you see, for Polyergus, there is no other way. This is the ultimate evolutionary trap. By specializing so completely in warfare, they gained an unbeatable advantage, but in doing so, they traded away their independence. They are perfect raiders, but they are utterly helpless without their slaves. This parasitic lifestyle is no longer a strategy, it is a biological imperative.
They are locked in this cycle forever. To stop raiding isn't a choice they can make. It would simply mean their extinction. It's a brutal but absolutely fascinating testament to the extreme lengths life will go to survive.